Have you ever witnessed a moment so unbelievable that it changed everything you thought you knew? Imagine a little girl who had not walked in years suddenly standing up and running toward a complete stranger. Now imagine that stranger was a poor single father carrying painful secrets from a life he never wanted to talk about. What happened next left an entire room speechless, and reminded everyone that kindness can open doors that money never could. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't happen in hospitals or boardrooms. They happen when one person chooses compassion over judgment. This story is about love, sacrifice, hidden courage, and the incredible power of kindness that changed several lives forever. Victoria Sterling was one of the youngest billionaire CEOs in America. She owned a successful technology company, appeared on magazine covers, and lived in a mansion overlooking the ocean. The world admired her success, but behind every smile was a mother carrying a broken heart. Her 8-year-old daughter, Grace, had been paralyzed after a terrible car accident 3 years earlier. The best doctors, therapists, and specialists had all promised hope, but none had changed her condition. Grace spent every day in a wheelchair, and Victoria quietly blamed herself for the accident that had changed their lives forever. One Saturday morning, Victoria agreed to attend a charity event at a community center. She wasn't there because she enjoyed public appearances. She simply wanted to support children's rehabilitation programs. Across the room stood a quiet man named David Miller. He wore old jeans, a faded jacket, and carried a small backpack. Beside him stood his 6-year-old son, Leo, who smiled at everyone they met. David worked long hours repairing boats and construction equipment just to provide a simple life for his son after losing his wife to cancer several years earlier. Most people barely noticed David. Some assumed he was only there because free meals were being served. Victoria glanced at him for only a second before looking away. As volunteers helped children participate in games, Grace suddenly stared across the room. Her eyes became wide. "There he is," she whispered. Victoria looked confused. "Who?" "The nice man from my dream." Before anyone could react, Grace slowly pushed herself forward. For months she had barely moved her legs. Everyone expected her wheelchair to stop. Instead, something unbelievable happened. Grace stood. One shaky step became another. Then she began running. The entire room froze. Victoria's heart nearly stopped as tears filled her eyes. Doctors, volunteers, and families watched in complete silence. Grace wrapped her arms around David. "I knew you'd come," she whispered. David gently hugged her, shocked and emotional. "I think you have me confused with someone else," he said softly. But Grace smiled. "You told me not to give up." Victoria rushed over, crying harder than she ever had before. I," she said. "Neither did David," said Grace. Over the next few minutes, Grace explained that during her hardest nights, she often dreamed of a kind man wearing a blue shirt who encouraged her to keep fighting. She believed David was that same person. David couldn't explain it either, but he knelt beside Grace. "You've already done the hardest part," he said kindly. "You believed you could stand." His calm voice somehow brought peace to everyone around him. Victoria thanked David and invited him to lunch after the event. During their conversation, she learned about his difficult life. He never complained. He simply talked about raising Leo, working every day, and teaching his son that helping others mattered more than becoming rich. When Victoria asked about his military tattoo, David became quiet. "It's from another life," he answered. She didn't ask any more questions. Several weeks later, Victoria discovered the truth by accident. One of her company's security consultants recognized David from an old military photograph. David had once served as one of the Navy's most respected SEAL team members. During classified rescue missions overseas, he had saved dozens of lives. After a mission that claimed several teammates, he quietly left military service, refusing interviews, awards, or public attention. He wanted nothing except peace and the chance to raise his son. Victoria couldn't believe it. The man everyone ignored had once been a hero. But what impressed her even more was that David never mentioned any of it. His greatest achievement wasn't what he had done during war. It was the kindness he showed every single day afterward. Victoria invited David and Leo to dinner. Over the following months, the two families became close friends. David never treated Victoria like a billionaire. He treated her like a tired mother doing her best. Whenever Grace felt discouraged during physical therapy, David visited. Instead of talking about miracles, he celebrated tiny victories. One extra step. One more smile. One more reason not to quit. His encouragement slowly transformed Grace's confidence. Doctors admitted they had never seen such remarkable emotional progress. At the same time, Leo found something he had missed for years: a loving family. Victoria welcomed him with open arms. The mansion that once felt cold and empty slowly filled with laughter, board games, birthday parties, and family dinners. One winter evening, Victoria asked David a question she had wondered for months. "Why are you always helping everyone?" David looked at the fireplace before answering. "When I was deployed overseas, I learned something. Strength doesn't come from winning battles. It comes from protecting people who can't protect themselves. I couldn't save everyone back then, but I can choose kindness today." His words stayed with Victoria forever. Inspired by David's example, she launched a nationwide foundation providing free rehabilitation equipment to children whose families couldn't afford treatment. David volunteered quietly every weekend, fixing wheelchairs, building ramps, and mentoring struggling parents. He never asked for recognition. He simply showed up. Years later, when reporters asked Victoria what had changed her life, she didn't mention business success or wealth. She smiled and said, "The richest person I ever met arrived wearing old boots and carrying a lunchbox. Kindness had accomplished what money alone never could. It healed broken hearts. It restored hope. It created a family where strangers once stood. And it reminded everyone that true heroes often live ordinary lives, asking for nothing in return. Every act of kindness matters, even the ones nobody sees. A smile, a helping hand, or a few encouraging words can change someone's life in ways you'll never imagine. Keep believing in people, keep choosing compassion, and never underestimate the quiet power of kindness, because the smallest act of love can become someone else's greatest miracle.